Now, the Doomed Course chapter. Where do I start? Well, first of all, the killer. Houndmaster. This might be an unpopular hot take, but the killer is boring as hell. This might be really boring. Extremely boring. Like, I fell asleep midway through a fucking match. I'm not even gonna joke with you. I fell asleep midway through a match because I just didn't want to play this killer. Why is she so painstakingly, mind-numbingly boring? It's a very good question. So it mainly comes down to her power and how it works, and the sort of flaws and inconsistencies that I've noticed throughout. Like, this power is basically the equivalent of a brain dead gorilla slamming some poop on a fucking wall. Okay, that's basically the effectiveness of this power. What it achieves is shit. Just the word shit. It jack shit. It achieves jack shit. Snug, how adorable he is, how many flaws he has. Most of them are probably bugs. Actually, probably some of them are bugs. Some of them are just design choices that just make no sense. Number one, my biggest gripe. Why on God's green earth does he take 4 trillion years to reach me when I send him out? I could send him maybe, I don't know, 60 meters in a direction. Maybe to a generator on the other side of the map, just check on it, right? He would take, not even joking to you, 45 seconds to return to me because he would either get stuck on something, he would either just not work, or I'd be on a separate floor, and he would just he would take 400 years. Like, the gameplay that I'm showing you right here, this Midwich match, this was... Ooh, I almost smashed my monitor. There either would have been a gigantic motherfucking hole in the straight center of my monitor if I had no control over my emotions. But basically to say, this match consists of me sending out Snug to a generator, him taking 400 trillion years to return, and then by the time he returns, the survivor's like 4 trillion years away, and I can't catch up. And by the time I do catch up and use chase, the chase part of the power, which I'll get to in a second, is just so underwhelming and so incredibly buggy that it just fucking sucks. I send out, not in this gameplay showcase match, but in other matches that I've had, I send out Snug. He goes 3 feet in front of him. He takes a literal piece of shit and just takes a shit right in the middle of the hallway. Wow, how? He just stands there. He stands there menacingly, trying to intimidate the survivors, but all he's doing is just barking and making cute sounds. It doesn't work. I'd rather stare at Red Dead Redemption 2 HD 4K nutsacks, horse nutsacks, not to be specific, horse nutsacks, than to stare at my stupid ass, brain dead companion bullshit dog. My main concern is just how map obsessive this killer is. This killer is the most motherfucking map dependent in the entire universe. Now, why is that? Well, like I mentioned before, Snug likes to face fuck walls, and by face fuck walls I mean he stares at walls and just does nothing. You could send him, for example, if you're on Raccoon City Police Department, or in the example clip on screen, Midwich, if you send him with the search command to a lower or higher gen, he's either A, gonna get stuck, B, gonna fucking take 40 years to get to you, or C, he's just gonna teleport to you because the game could not get to you fast enough. Because that's the failsafe we have. Instead of just making him teleport to you normally, like, he just fucking... He takes 30 years to run an Olympic sprint like Usain Bolt all the way back to you, and he's not even that fast. Like, he runs at like a grandma driving a fucking sports car. This motherfucker is so slow. This guy is so slow. I can't with him, bro. Snug is so adorable, but he is so utterly useless, it makes me want to die. Another point I'd like to bring up is, what does Hound Sense do? Like, legitimately, I want someone in the comments to tell me what Hound Sense does without looking it up. Like, just do it right now in the comment section. Just fucking type what Hound Sense does, and If you can find out what Hound says does without looking in-game or looking it up, just by this one example clip, right? If you can find that out, I'm going to personally shout you out, and maybe, I don't know, I'm going to do something. But my point being, it's, what the fuck does it do? I kind of know what it does. If you injure somebody with Hound Sense, they get deep wound. That's like the only thing I know that it does. It is probably the most useless status effect in the game. At least with the unknown, you can actually deal damage, and with Nemesis, you can actually deal damage. But with this killer, it's just useless. Like, if you could deal damage and actually have a threat, if Snug could be more of a threat on his own, this killer would be perfect. And that kind of leads me into my overall, how do we work on this, right? Because this has an insane amount of potential, right? This killer might have the most potential any killer has ever had in any part of this video game. I think this killer could have insane potential. How do we reach that potential? Well, number one, make Snug useful. He's cute. He's only good for his looks and petting him, but his search command, useless. If we added some sort of AI component, maybe if for example's sake here, maybe Snug finds a person, right? And he's in his idle position. He sees them. What if we had an AI command take over and he starts chasing that person at a decent speed? You could recall him at any point. You can cancel it the whole time, but maybe he does chase that person, and if he catches up to that person, he deals a health state. Like, it would maybe just a health state, maybe just an injure state, just to balance it a little bit. Maybe just a injure state, and maybe not downing. Or if it does down, maybe it wouldn't reveal the location. You know, something like that, something along those lines to make searching more threatening. And on that note, make Hound Sense more threatening. Give it some sort of side effect. Debuff the survivors somehow, because I haven't noticed a goddamn thing. If it does debuff the survivors, I'm sorry, but like, how the fuck is it helping you? Because I haven't noticed it at all. Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand what they were thinking. I don't understand how this got through testing. I don't understand why they didn't just super buff it. I am mind fucking myself with a stroke right now. I don't know how they didn't super buff it from the PTB to live, because the whole point of that PTB was to test the bugs and how strong it was. She's not strong. Snug is not strong. Nobody in this motherfucking chapter is strong. There's nothing strong about this chapter. She is bottom of the tier list. Bottom of the tier list, right next to Trapper. Maybe not that far. Maybe like next to Myers. New Myers. Which maybe I'll cover in a separate video. Probably not, because I have such an inconsistent upload schedule. Anyway, point being, it's really bad. What's one more thing that's really bad? What's just to top this chapter off? Now, there's two things we could top off this chapter. Number one, the map. There's no map. It just doesn't have a map. Technically it does have a map, actually. I lied, but it's coming in a later patch. It didn't release with this patch, which makes no sense because it was on the PTB with this killer, and it didn't really make much sense because the map was fine. Didn't really seem like it had a whole lot of issues. Might be wrong. I might have to fact check that, but from my playtesting, it didn't really seem like it had any major problems that couldn't be fixed with a intermediate PTB to live patch, but I don't understand why it's not here. Number two, the Houndmaster's Visceral Cosmetic. Now, before you start getting a massive erection, I want to let you know this is not a visceral cosmetic that you're used to. Not like the Naughty Bear. Not like the new Dracula skin. Not like the new Huntress skin. Okay? This is a glorified legendary skin. It's barely even a legendary skin. I call it an ultra rare. Probably an ultra rare skin. Why is it an ultra rare, you ask? Oh, because it doesn't have a unique Mori, so it's not a visceral. I refuse to believe it's visceral. It does not have a unique Mori, which is the whole entire point of creating visceral. It's the whole point of creating visceral, so why make it a visceral? I don't understand. Why did we just make it a visceral if it's not a visceral, you know? Now, why did they make it a visceral? Well, I think in their own words they put it in the stream. They made it a visceral because they changed Snug's model to a poodle. Yes, they changed Snug's model to a poodle, which is pretty cool, you gotta admit, right? but it's not fitting a visceral cosmetic. It is not a visceral cosmetic. It is a type of thing you'd see in a legendary or ultra rare. I don't understand. Like, do they just love money? Are they like Amazon now? Are we gonna call behavior the next Amazon? Fucking, like, what are they gonna start delivering packages to us? 1700 1700 Oryx cells for a poodle. That's $20 for an in-game poodle. And the actual Houndmaster, she doesn't even get a cooler cosmetic. She doesn't even get like a fucking whole different cosmetic. It's literally just the dog, which you only see half the time because he's probably too busy slurping on his nutsack or face fucking a wall. Like, it's so disappointing how they handled this, and it really makes me want to rip my cock off sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, I've probably yapped for way too long. My main point, right? It's so disappointing, but this chapter is just the most brain dead disappointing chapter I've ever. Ignore the Discord sounds. It's so brain dead. I hate it. There are steps they could do to improve it. It could get way better, but for now, it's painstakingly disappointing to say that the Houndmaster is pretty shit. That's it for me. See ya in the next life, probably in another 8 months.